Authorities have 2 people in custody.
Elijah's mother and another man who lives in this apartment building where investigators have been searching and collecting evidence. Right now, both are in custody. I'm told both are held on child neglect charges.
Before we go any further, I like to be crystal clear about the details discussed and the contents of the audio in this story. This subject matter may be disturbing to some listeners, so discretion is advised. When I think of Wisconsin, I think that's the state known for cheese. And then I think that's where one of the world's most known serial killers were born, Jeffrey Dahmer. Now I think about it being the state that the adorable baby boy named Elijah Vue came up missing from on February 20th, 2024.
And tonight near Wisconsin Dells, people gathered for a vigil for Vue. Balloons, candles, and pictures were placed at a tree where neighbors say Vue played. Vue lived in Wisconsin Dells with his mother, Katrina Bauer. Police have said Vue was in Two Rivers for the week with Bauer's boyfriend when he disappeared. Both the mother and the boyfriend are in jail on child neglect charges.
Don't take my sunshine away.
So the question still remains, what happened to baby Elijah? 3-year-old Elijah Vue was last seen around 8 a.m. on February 20th, 2024, on the 3900 block of Mishcot Road in Two Rivers, a town on the shore of Lake Michigan in Wisconsin. Elijah was last seen wearing gray sweatpants, a dark long-sleeve shirt with dinosaur slippers stating to be the color red and green. He stands 3 feet tall and weighs around 45 pounds. Elijah's mother, Katrina, and her friend have both been placed under arrest for child neglect. Katrina's friend stated he fell asleep while Elijah was in his care, and when he woke up, he was simply gone. But y'all, it is so much more to this story. Like, we literally need the whole world to help find this baby. If you're interested in learning more about this story, please continue watching. Let's not forget, I would love it if you like, comment, and subscribe to my new channel. At this point, this has become the channel of the unpredictable. Who knew I would be doing stories on missing babies? But Elijah's story just stuck to me like glue.
And we all look good fuck. She said she my op, but I don't know her. Had to look her up. I know that I'm rich, but I can help it, bitch. I'm
Alright, let's get into it. Katrina Bauer from Appleton, Wisconsin, born on December 9th, 1992. Katrina was not born into this world an only child. She does have older siblings I believe she could have looked up to for guidance. But unfortunately, Katrina felt she did not have a good hand of cards dealt to her, or she kept making bad decisions. Either way, she lives a very spotty past. As a young adult, it seems that Katrina struggled to find her way, and sometimes that can result in a person hanging around the wrong people, the type of people that don't have your best interest at heart or wouldn't benefit you in life. She started to struggle with substance abuse at a very early age. In the year 2011, she was arrested for underage drinking at the age of 19 years old. A year later, she relocated from Wisconsin to California. It is believed she has family in both states. During her time in California, she seemed to be on the right track, healthy and happy, hanging with the right people. I believe she was trying to become a dog trainer for like the dog shows and stuff like that. She also worked other jobs while living in California for places like Petco, PetSmart, and a pet resort and spa as like a dog groomer. Her passion for animals shows as she would share her photos with the world. In 2014, she left California traveling to Nevada. It's unsure if she was living there or if she was simply just on a girls' trip with a couple of friends. Now, from the photos, it looks like they were all taken in the same night, but I mean, you never know. However, while in Vegas, she had 2 encounters with LVMPD. She was not arrested and returned back to California. Now, sometime in 2015, Katrina left California and returned to Wisconsin. At this point, Katrina is back in Wisconsin, meeting new friends, and this is where the story starts to change. It makes a dramatic change. On November 20th, 2015, a 911 dispatch call to a hotel in Appleton, Wisconsin was made. The call was made from a hotel staff member stating a girl was visibly upset and hiding in the hotel lobby. The victim stated she had been sexually assaulted by two Asian men while at the hotel. In the report, both males sexually assaulted her and caused her injury. She went on to say after the assault, the Asian males, identified as Dan and Jesse, went on to say how she is now their property. Katrina then stated Dan detailed how she would be transported to a house near Minneapolis that was described as not nice. They would then leave her there where she was expected to perform sex acts for drugs and compensation. He then said once Katrina could be trusted, she would be moved to a nicer house where she would still be provided with drugs, but a better living arrangement. She stated to the police, quote, "I would rather take enough heroin that would take my life rather than live as a sex slave," unquote. During the investigation, it was learned that Dan Vang provided a Minnesota driving license for the rental agreement of the room. At this point, I'm really confused to why she would even be in the room with two men. She's hanging with people that I would, from the sound of it, she doesn't know. She can't trust. Like, where did you meet these people? On November 28th, 2015, just a week later, Amber, who is Katrina's older sister, stated she received an alarming message about Katrina's safety. She said somebody using Katrina's Facebook Messenger account indicated that Katrina had been taken by the same two Asian males who were sexually assaulting her at the hotel on the 20th. They went on to say, "I don't think you get it. These people move large amounts of drugs and prostitutes." The unidentified messenger says to Amber, she was hanging out with some Asian kid and that girl. The messenger then goes on to state how Katrina's friend had been sold to some other Asians from out of state, but Katrina ran away from Dan and Jesse and was hiding in the hotel lobby until the police came. Amber contacted the police about Katrina's safety December 1st, 2015. The same day, the police were able to receive Facebook messages between Dan and Katrina, dated back to 11/30/2015. Just 2 days after the alleged assault happened. 6:44, Dan Vang says to Katrina, "What did we do?" 6:46, Katrina replies, "You're crazy." 6:47, Dan, "How?" 6:47, Dan, "I'm nice." 6:49, Dan, "I thought we were cool." 6:55, Dan, "Can I get a number to contact you?" 7:04, Dan, "Let's kick it again." 7:04, Katrina, "Drugging me was not cool. Neither trying to keep Eddie and I away from each other, or trying to keep me in Minnesota to be a effing prostitute. What the That's not cool. I don't give a what you do with your life, but I'm not a prostitute and never will be, and no, you cannot have my number." 7:05, Dan, "We didn't do that." 7:07, Katrina, "You're nuts." Now, I ain't gonna lie. The way Dan sending them messages back to back like that is a little sus. St. Paul Human Trafficking Task Force arrested Dan Vang. He was in their custody along with the second individual identified as Jesse Vang. With attempt to identify Jesse Vang, law enforcement goes to Facebook. Looking through Dan Vang's Facebook page, they can't find a Jesse Vang. However, they do find a Jesse Catos, an alias. He also goes by Jesse Cook. Photos were pulled from Jesse's account, helping them to assist identify the parties involved in the assault. Katrina had described the tattoos on his chest, which also helped them identify Jesse, as well as conversations between the individuals both before and after the incident occurred. 2 months into the investigation, in early 2016, Katrina asked the detectives not to investigate the sexual assault any further, stating, "I am with Jimmy now, and he'll take care of it." "Okay, Jimmy, big boss." She states, "Jimmy is an alpha, and Jesse is under Jimmy in some sort of structure." Prosecutors charged Vang in the hotel incident anyway. Vang was charged with conspiracy to commit human trafficking and second-degree sexual assault. The state eventually dropped the charges. Reasons being, Jesse Vang had been indicted by the federal court and detained in Minnesota. He was caught trying to distribute 50 grams or more of methamphetamine. He has a troubled past and is also known to be part of an Asian gang. Vang's history includes a number of felony and misdemeanor convictions, dating back to his early teen years. These convictions include child abuse in 2002. However, the child abuse stems from a fight with a fellow juvenile that was 5 years younger than him. The incident occurred in December 2001. Vang was 17. He took offense to a little joke told by a 12-year-old. Vang and the 12-year-old inmate were in a program area of the Outagamie County Jail. Vang punched the 12-year-old and hit him multiple times with a chair, causing the child injuries. Jesse Vang ended up doing 3 years in prison 6 years later on the federal drugs charges. He was indicted on October 11, 2016 for the controlled substance that he had back. You remember the meth? Yeah. He going to jail for that now. So it's 2016 and he going to jail for that, but it happened in 2013, if that makes sense. Make it make sense. Anyway, he was in prison from 2018 to 2021. When he was released, he was on supervised release, which means it's something, I guess, like parole, where they let you out, but you're still supposed to check in. I don't know. That was in effect until 2025, so technically, he is still on supervised release, meaning he is still on parole. May 2016, Katrina seemed to struggle from depression as well as overcoming drug abuse. She would often go to Facebook to express her feelings. She also stated, 30 days ago, I walked away from a life I was living. Ever since, amazing things have happened, and today I could not be more grateful to be alive. Unfortunately, the same year, Katrina seemed to get in some type of trouble and was arrested in Outagamie County for disorderly conduct. I guess she was trying to stay out the way, so she went back home to stay with her mom and took a little break from social media. In the summer of 2016, Katrina, now 24, is looking somewhat healthy and happy with Jimmy, 34. Katrina also received great news. They are expecting their first child together, and she is so excited. In late 2015, Katrina was struggling with health and drug problems. She was diagnosed with hepatitis C, an infection caused by a virus that attacks the liver and leads to inflammation. Now, according to Google, most infections occur through exposure to blood from unsafe injection practices, unsafe healthcare, unscreened blood transfusion, injection drug use, or sexual practices that lead to exposure to blood. Now, we know Katrina ain't had no blood transfusions. I mean, the sex and all that, I don't know. However, I'm going to narrow it down and say that it's mainly from using dirty needles. May 2017, Katrina gives birth to their beautiful daughter, Elena. Finding out Elena has autism, Katrina struggles with parenting. I think it caused a lot of stress on her and Jimmy's relationship. However, she decided to stay. Later in 2017, Katrina was charged with disorderly conduct again, and she also had a failure to appear, probably from the first disorderly conduct charge. Katrina was soon released and back to her life with Jimmy, and before she knew it, she was pregnant again. This time she gave birth to an adorable baby boy named Elijah on August 20th, 2022. Once Elijah arrives, things start to take a turn. Now, this is just my intuition, but I do believe Jimmy was selling drugs while him and Katrina were together. Maybe she slipped up again. I don't know if they was doing it together. Maybe he was feeding drugs to her. Like, nobody knows. However, just 3 months after Elijah's birth, December 2022, the police were called. It was stated Jimmy hit Katrina with a blunt object, causing her to have a brain injury. She also reported Jimmy had her and the kids locked in the house without the basic necessities. She stated Jimmy would also abuse them. At the time, Katrina was placed into a safe house while losing custody of her children because of her record and drug abuse. The next year, Katrina worked to rebuild her life and take it back, gaining her sobriety, finding a job and a place to live. In this video, Katrina states, quote, "After I left my abuser, I lost my home and my kids, but I rebuilt my life and this is my house," unquote. I'm sure it wasn't easy going through a domestic violence relationship, having 2 children by this person, and deciding to stay only to be abused daily and lose both of your angels at the end of the day. Talk about PTSD. Katrina shows a plate of rice and what looks like to be cut up sausage, stating, quote, "My abuser used to tell me that I wasn't deserving to eat. I am thankful for every meal I get to enjoy," unquote. She was determined to get her children back by any means necessary. She started to realize her kids were more important than life itself, and their love couldn't compare to any drug. Within 6 months, Katrina was able to have visits with her babies. She was doing everything in her power to be a good mother. Elijah and Elena were able to spend the night with Katrina at her new home by the end of the year. Katrina goes to Facebook groups asking for help, with Elena claiming she is struggling on how to handle her violent episodes. April 14th, 2022, Katrina finally had her children back and they were in her care full time. Unfortunately, around this same time, Katrina mom has stopped speaking to her. I find in the past that Katrina mom has been very supportive of her daughter, but I guess, it's like any relationship. You can burn bridges with your parents too. Now, I don't know if it was the same month, but at least within a couple of months of having the kids back, honey, Katrina done filed to put Jimmy on child support. Already. Didn't waste no time. At this point, I do believe Katrina is trying to somewhat normalize her life, being active on social media. She expressed how her children weren't able to leave the house and how she felt abducted. And then on August the 20th, 2022, she posted, quote, "To the man that said I wouldn't be able to do this on my own, well, I'm doing it. Clearly, my kids are happy and safe, and I will never let anyone take this from us. My kids are my world, and as tough as it is at times, I wouldn't have it any other way. No more being deprived of basic human needs. No more going hungry or being forced to sleep on the floor. No more violence or torture. Just pure joy and happiness," unquote. Katrina started receiving SSDI, Social Security Disability, from the brain injury Jimmy caused her to have in 2020, which she will unfortunately continue to live with for the rest of her life. December 22nd, 2022, Jimmy received 9 years in prison, with charges ranging from child abuse, possession of a firearm, domestic abuse, disorderly conduct, possession of methamphetamine. I mean, too many charges. Let me just post a little picture so y'all can read them. It's ridiculous. 2023, Katrina has her kids back, Jimmy seems to be out of the picture, and Elena has started kindergarten. She's spending more time with the precious little boy Elijah, who is now 2 and as cute as can be. September 2023, she posted, "When Elijah smiles, it warms my heart. I often wonder how something so filled with light and love could come from something so dark, filled with rage and hatred. He is my reminder that even through the darkest of times, we can protect our light and make something new of ourselves. Even when people expect you to continue down a path of darkness and self-destruction, it's okay to step into the light and turn your life around. It is not their faith in you that will keep you going. It's the faith you have in yourself. Thankful for every day I get to wake up with my kids by my side, sleeping peacefully knowing they are safe. Thankful to be able to continue to grow with each passing day. The hunger and love I have for life is nothing I've experienced before. I just hope my babies know that I'm doing everything in my power to give them the best life possible." However, during this time, I think it was hard for Katrina, being a single parent without much support. Elena has pushed Elijah out of a tall wagon, causing him to become unresponsive. She took Elijah to the hospital about 2 blocks away from her house after the hospital called the ambulance, which I really don't understand why the hospital would call the ambulance, but after the hospital called the ambulance, come to find out it was a minor head injury. Then she goes on to talk about how Elena learned this type of behavior from her father, stating that it's hurtful for her to think that that's how Elena remembers him. Here's a selfie taken by Katrina on December 12, 2023. She claims to be feeling healthy and happy, stating, "Sober looks good on me." Meanwhile, sometime in November 2023, Jesse is out of prison and on parole, supervised released, or whatever they want to call it. Out here in these streets getting DUIs, but he's still on paper. Doesn't seem to have changed much. He decides to contact Katrina via social media. Now, instead of her blocking his crazy ass, she engages and starts a conversation with him. I don't know what the hell she could have been thinking, or even try to have a mutual conversation with somebody who tried to sell you like some old clothes. I think at this point her brain has stopped working. Rekindling with this old connection from the past really ended up hurting her. The way we feel about ourselves can definitely impact the way we look at life. If we're in a bad place and the wrong person comes into our life during that window, then it will inevitably lead to some sort of disaster. Within 1 to 2 months of talking to Jessie, honey, they became a couple. However, she was still on Facebook claiming single gang. Maybe they were keeping it on the low. I mean, she was sleeping with her baby daddy's worker, friend. I don't know, maybe he was just a runner. Either way, Jessie and Jimmy were affiliated. Sometime around Thanksgiving 2023, she starts to pillow talk with Jessie, telling him all her problems. She feels comfortable enough talking about the babies as if she wants him to step in and become a father figure. Especially with Elijah, who is 3 now and doing things most normal 3-year-olds do. Being loud, running around all day, watching cartoons, potty training, etc. But Katrina tells Jessie she thinks it's time for him to become a man. He's 3, but she thinks it's time for him to become a man. Let me say it one more time. Katrina tells Jessie, I think it's time for Elijah, who is 3 years old, to become a man. Now, as she discusses the issues that she is having with Elijah, December 2023, a couple of weeks after talking to Jessie, Jimmy randomly reaches out to Katrina from jail. This was the first time while he was incarcerated that he tried to reach out to her. Seems a little sus. January 2024, honey, Katrina done let Jessie claim the kids on his taxes. Jessie gives Katrina a car for transportation as he drives his work truck around. I don't know if he was trying to get her to trust him or what, but it obviously worked. Now, based off their history, she is not standing on business. Hell, did she forget what him and Dan did? That damn brain done stopped working again. Plus, based off Jessie's criminal history of felony and misdemeanor convictions, what would even entice her to have a person like this in her life, let alone in your children's life? I'm guessing since she's been talking to Jessie for 2 long months and he gave her a little car or whatever, she feeling real comfortable with him, trusting him a little too much if you ask me. She begins to talk to him about Elijah's behavior again and how she just needs somebody to show him how to be a man. Elijah is still being potty trained, and that's fine. Some kids learn later. I guess she didn't want to take the time out to teach him, although she is sitting at home with him all day. Side note, my sister would let my nephew run around without a diaper on, and I would never understand why. But it worked. The only thing is she had to go buy a carpet cleaner. He would either pee on the floor or go pee in the pot, but he would not pee on himself. Back to Elijah. He is also supposedly still bottle fed. Now at 3, that baby should be eating some food. I mean, I was low-key eating steaks when I was 3 years old. You got a mouthful of teeth. You can eat some food. I did find this clip of Elijah and he was eating the little baby Gerber things. So, I mean, after that, you gonna start looking at your mama when she eating or your big sister when she eating. You want a bite of what they got. So, I don't really know how true that is, but that is what they said in the police report.
Mr. Vang advised that the child was still bottle fed and he was attempting to get the child to move to more solid or adult style food during the time that he was with him.
Early January 2024, a neighbor of Katrina's noticed Elijah wasn't outside with her and Elena as they were used to seeing his adorable face. The neighbor asked about Elijah and Katrina stated he was with her boyfriend learning manners and discipline. So now all of a sudden Katrina and Jessie is a couple. The neighbor says he is the sweetest kid and he just loves to play outside. Elijah was back and forth to Jessie's house from Katrina's for the next couple of weeks. Now, I guess he was at Jessie's house learning how to become a man. Jessie felt like he had one job with Elijah, and that was making him hate coming to his house. He wanted to make Elijah think his house was a boot camp, and going home to his mama was a privilege. When Elijah came over Jessie's, he didn't have any toys to play with. In fact, Katrina had only sent him with one toy, which was a kid's toolbox. He also had to stand in a corner with his hands in a praying position, repeating, "I'm sorry, Mommy." If he didn't listen, Jessie would threaten him with a cold shower. As we know, Elijah was not fully potty trained. So Jesse would make him walk around and pee all day if he used his diaper. He would only change that baby's diaper 1 time per day. February 9th, 2024, Jimmy, her baby daddy, filed for an appeal on his case. Just 3 days later, Katrina decides to drop Elijah off at Vang's boot camp for what was meant to be an 11-day stay. Since Katrina lives a little more than 2 hours away in Dalles, Wisconsin, they decided to meet halfway in a city named Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. She dropped Elijah off for that poor baby to be physically, mentally, and emotionally abused. She was okay with Jesse's discipline and tactics. I have no idea why she thinks Jesse was even capable of taking care of this baby. Like, what were you thinking? I'm telling you that damn brain, it just done stopped. Maybe Jesse had her thinking he was a changed man. I mean, I don't know if he was putting a mask on, acting like he was a great dad to his own 15-year-old son, who unfortunately is autistic and nonverbal. Since Jesse's release from prison, he has wrote 2 books, one called The To-Do List, the other called Pure Experience. In one of his books, he expresses how he struggles with controlling his anger. Katrina feels like taking Elijah to Jesse's house is the smartest move to make. Vang's boot camp, day 1. February 12th, 2024, Katrina took Elijah to Jesse with a box of diapers and his small toolbox toy that he wasn't even allowed to play with.
He was asked about toys in the residence. Mr. Vang indicated that there was one toy in the residence, which was given to the child at Christmas time, and he had helped put that toy together. However, during this stay, because it was a punishment, he was not allowed to play with that toy.
That Mr. Vang told you there was one toy in that residence?
That is correct.
Did he tell you what kind of toy that was?
And it was indicated it was something similar to a toolbox.
So Jesse stated he helped Elijah put a toy together for Christmas, which was the same toy he was allowed to bring to his house. The toy was a toolbox. How do you help him put that together? Like, there's nothing to it. It's tools. It's a toolbox. Did you help him build something with the tools? I'm confused. February 13th, 2024, the next day.
Around February 13th of 2024, were there some discussions between Ms. Bauer and Mr. Vang about her coming to his residence?
Yes, there were.
And during those discussions, was there any discussion on whether she would be able to see victim child one or not?
From my recollection, the defendant advised Ms. Bauer that she would not be allowed to see Elijah. Correction, victim child 1.
Katrina is texting Jesse, 9:30 p.m., trying to make a late night run for some wood. Or was this to maybe check on her baby? Jesse knows if Elijah sees Katrina, he is going to want to go home with his mama. So he tells Katrina he's going to place Elijah in the bathroom when she comes over. 10:12 p.m. Katrina decides to go see Jesse and bring Elena along with her, stating to Jesse Elena can sleep in the car while she's inside doing the business. 11:45 p.m., Jesse sends a message to Katrina stating that Elijah is sleeping in the living room and for her to be quiet when entering the house. So I guess he decided not to put the baby in the bathroom after all. It was one smart decision he made. Katrina makes a stop at the Quick Trip and was on her way to Jesse's apartment. 2:27 a.m., she makes it to Jesse's apartment, but she has a small problem. She can't get the headlights to turn off, and people are going to notice the car more with the headlights on. She sends Jesse a message asking if there was any way to turn the headlights off completely. He replies, no, not completely. She couldn't find Elena's cell phone. She needed some type of sound, but also the cops just passed, so she wanted to make sure she was all good. He told her to just leave the car running and people will think it's warming up. She replied, too risky. She questions whether to leave the lights on or to turn the car off. Katrina then said, I'm gonna just leave my cell phone and turn the car off. It should stay warm for a bit, right? Jesse replies, yeah. Come on, man. You know better than that. You know better than that. And this is what I mean when I say the brain has stopped working. Obviously, we can see it's not fully doing its job. I mean, it's the beginning of February. You are in a town called Two Rivers. The town is up north, let's not forget that, in Wisconsin. Literally between two rivers. I mean, what you think? It's just gonna go from 27 to 80 degrees outside within like 2 minutes? It was 27 degrees outside, according to the National Weather Service records. I'm guessing Elena couldn't go in the house because they didn't want Elijah to see her either. I'm just like, this is just crazy to me. Like, poor baby. Poor baby. February the 14th, 2024. This is day 3 at Vang's boot camp. It's 3:13 a.m. Katrina is leaving and she sees her precious baby laying in the living room on the couch with bruises on his arm, his face, and his neck. He was also laying there with a blindfold on. Now, baby, right now, if this was me in Katrina's situation, this would have been where Jesse's story would have ended. Like, Jesse would have been motherfucking missing. For real. Like, he would have been missing. We wouldn't be looking for Elijah. We'd be looking for Jesse. Motherfucker.
Strike that. Were any photographs located on Ms. Bauer's phone from February 14th of 2024?
Yes, there was a deleted one found.
What did Katrina do is the real question. Instead of doing what I would have did, this bitch goes and takes a picture of the baby laying there in these conditions and walks out the door. She just leaves. About an hour later, I guess she's looking through her phone and she sees the picture, so she's feeling kind of bad and she decides to delete it.
The photograph depicts victim child 1 wearing what is believed to be a black blindfold and appears to have bruising to his cheek, neck, and arm area.
And that was the photograph that was recovered from Ms. Bauer's phone, correct?
Correct.
And that photograph had been deleted, but it was able to be recovered.
Correct.
When she left Jesse's house on her way back to Dales, Wisconsin, she was pulled over. I don't know what she was pulled over for, but I guess they was just like, okay, we're going to let you go. So they let her go with a warning. February the 15th, 2024, day 4, 8:24 p.m. Jesse sends Katrina a photo via Facebook Messenger showing Elijah standing in a corner with nothing but a diaper on.
I provided you Exhibit 2. Do you recognize that?
I do.
And is that the photograph from February 15th of 2024?
It is.
And that was sent from the defendant's phone to Ms. Bauer
Correct.
at approximately 8:24 p.m.?
Correct.
And just for the record, can you describe what that photograph depicts?
It depicts what appears to be victim child 1 wearing only a diaper that appears to be full, standing in the corner near the doorway of what is the defendant's bedroom door.
His hands seem to be in a praying position. His diaper also seems to be full. February the 16th, 2024, day 5. Jesse and Elijah seem to be on a little outing. Jesse takes Elijah to Rose Auto Service in Two Rivers to get a breathalyzer placed in his car. Let's not forget Jesse was just pulled over and received a DUI a couple of months ago. But Katrina feels like he is fit to keep this baby and get him in line, honey. Later that night, 11:15 p.m., Katrina calls Jesse and made her normal stop at the Quick Trip. She then texts Jesse at 11:21 saying, "I'm on my way. Put him to sleep." The hell? He replied, "Okay, ugly ass." She gets there around midnight. Around 12:30 a.m., Jesse and Katrina head out for a night on the town. Where's Elijah? Where is Jesse's autistic son? Clearly, he can't keep the baby. Maybe they just watching each other. I don't know at this point.
February 17th, 2024, that it was assumed that the defendant's son was in the residence during those early morning hours of 12:30 in the morning, correct?
Correct.
That individual, the son, can he care for another child?
No.
Is he even able to speak?
He is nonverbal.
Would he be able to, based upon his limitations, provide care for anyone else?
No.
And this is where I feel that not only Katrina, but Jesse as well should have received an additional child neglect charge. His son is autistic and nonverbal. He cannot defend for himself, let alone a 3-year-old. If anything was to happen while him and Elijah was left alone, he wouldn't be able to call 911 and communicate what's going on.
Looking at the cell phone information, were you able to see where Ms. Bauer's cell phone and Mr. Vang's cell phones traveled the early morning hours of February 17th of 2024?
Yes,
And did Ms. Bauer come to Mr. Vang's apartment?
she does.
And do the two cell phones leave together?
They do.
And approximately what time do they leave? Do they know?
12:30 a.m. on the 17th.
They make it to a bar in Manitowoc, Wisconsin called Saucy's, about 20 minutes away from Jesse's apartment. 1:45 a.m., Katrina stops at the Quick Trip before heading back to Jesse's apartment, and they return around 2 a.m.
The phones got back to Two Rivers at some point after 2 o'clock in the morning.
Correct.
And so between approximately 12:30 in the morning and 2 o'clock in the morning, through your investigation, there was no evidence of alleged child victim 1 having left the residence in that time frame.
Correct.
And I believe you testified that law enforcement was unable to find anyone caring for alleged child victim 1 during that time.
Correct.
And did you ask Katrina Bauer about that time frame?
We did, yes.
And what did she tell you about that time frame?
She was not able to give us a lot of detail on that time frame initially, as that was, she declined to initially give officers details regarding that time.
Did you or other law enforcement ask Mr. Vang about that time frame?
I specifically did not.
Have you taken other steps in attempting to identify anyone else who may have been at the residence during that time frame?
Yes.
And what kind of steps were those?
There were several interviews that were conducted through many of the other residents that are located in the apartment complex which the defendant resides in. We've gone through, again, many phones and Facebook Messenger to determine if there was any care or conversation of care to be had during those times.
Were you able to determine whether there was any other person in the residence at that time?
We were not.
Are you aware that Mr. Vang has other children?
Yes.
Specifically, are you aware that Mr. Vang has a son that lives at that residence?
Yes.
And were you able to determine whether Mr. Vang's son was at the residence during that time?
It was assumed.
And so there was at least an assumption on law enforcement's part that there was at least another human being at the apartment.
Yes.
Katrina leaves at 5 a.m. the next morning. February 17th, 2024, day 6, 6:45 p.m. Jesse sends Katrina a message that he is angry. Elijah overfilled his diaper with pee and poop. But my thing is, are you asking this baby if he has to go to the bathroom? Like, he may not be able to tell you when he gotta pee. You gotta ask kids sometimes, do you need to go to the pot? You got a potty? Like, come on now. Like, he just stupid. I don't know why she left that baby with him. Oh, Lord. To be honest, he might have scared the shit out of Elijah. Seriously. Like, he may have just scared the shit out the baby. So at this point, he is pissed that Elijah used his diaper that he is wearing. Okay, so he goes to tell Katrina, I gave him a cold shower. He is clean, but he is also scared. It's pretty sad. Like, somebody need to throw his ass in a cold shower.
Did you review any messaging between Mr. Vang and Ms. Bauer related to February 17th of 2024?
I did.
And specifically, I'm going to the time period of 6:39 p.m. What was the messaging about around that time period?
I believe the messaging was about victim child 1 filling his diaper and the defendant being upset about it.
And what did he do as a result of victim child 1 filling his diaper?
I recall him stating that he had given victim child one a cold shower and that he appeared to be scared afterwards.
You testified that there was some messages from later on the date of February 17th that you reviewed,
Yes,
and one of them was with respect to alleged child victim one filling his diaper.
correct.
And that Mr. Vang had messaged that made him upset.
Yes,
And that Mr. Vang's message said that he had given alleged child victim one a cold shower. Did you or other law enforcement ask Mr. Vang about that message?
this was after he had already been taken into custody, that was determined.
Do you have any evidence that Mr. Vang in fact gave alleged child victim one a cold shower on that day?
Other than the messages, we do not.
So it's just a message that Mr. Vang had said this is what he did, but you don't know if that actually happened.
Correct.
And you were just asked some questions about the messaging from the 17th, about the cold shower. And that messaging indicated that victim child one was clean after the shower, but also that he was scared, correct?
Correct.
February 18th, 2024, day 7, 4:36 a.m. Jesse sends Katrina a message saying, "I told you to trust me. I'ma make sure he hates me and hates being here." She replied, "I don't want him to hate you, just fear you." Jesse replied, "It's okay. Someone had to be the bad person." Katrina said, "I know, but either way, he can fear you and respect you." Jesse, "He did fear me, but he didn't respect me. Now I'm making him respect me."
You testified that there were some messages in the early morning hours on February 18th,
Yes,
and something along the lines of Mr. Vang saying that he was going to make alleged child victim one fear and respect him.
correct.
In any of the messages that you reviewed, did you review any messages of Mr. Vang saying anything in relation to he was going to physically hurt alleged child victim one?
My recollection.
February 19th, 2024, day 8. Jesse says he changed Elijah's diaper around 8 or 9 p.m. before he went to bed. Probably his first time changing the baby's diaper all day, though. Now, it's unsure if Elijah may have used his diaper by mistake or what, we don't know. But somehow, he pissed Jesse off again and was placed into a timeout.
Officer, you were asked a question about whether a diaper needed to be changed more than once a day. How many times would a diaper need to be changed?
Diaper should be changed every time it becomes soiled.
And if it was only soiled one time?
If it's only soiled one time, I can see where it would only be changed one time.
Standing in the corner for over 2 hours. And if he tried to sit down, Jesse would threaten him with a cold shower. At the same time, Jesse was laid back on the bed, drinking beers and popping pills, watching a movie, talking about he was taking a sleep aid. I don't know if Elijah fell asleep standing up or what happened, but Jesse has claimed Elijah was asleep on the couch the next morning. But you taking sleep aids and drinking beer, and you got a child standing in the corner for over 2 hours in a praying position. You watching a movie. I'm pretty sure he fell asleep. I mean, it's sad. He's not attentive.
And on redirect, you testified that Mr. Vang told you alleged child victim one would become tired from standing.
Correct.
Did he tell you how alleged child victim one showed that he was tired from standing?
He did not.
So he just assumed alleged child victim one would become tired from standing.
I don't know what he would have been thinking at that time.
February 20th, 2024, day 9. Jesse claims he woke up around 7:30 a.m., helping his autistic 15-year-old son onto the bus. As they headed out the door, he sees Elijah asleep on the couch. When he came back inside, first he said he went straight to bed. Then he changed it to, he came in, locked the door, including the bolt lock and the security chain.
How did the baby get out the door? How did it get out the door? If they had the door locked with all them locks, how did his little self get out that door? But he was supposed to have been in there with him at the bottom of the bed, so standing there for 3 hours. Well, I don't know if that was 3. That was the one that was for 3 hours, but he had been standing there, and you go to sleep. It looked like you would have just had him get in the bed with you or something. Don't just have him standing there. Of course, if I just don't understand.
He woke Elijah up and they had breakfast. What was for breakfast, you asked? Cereal with no milk. Frosting Flakes on one side and some type of wheat cereal on the other side.
Would he withhold any food from him?
He indicated that he was withholding milk.
Once Elijah was done drying his throat out with the cereal, Jesse gives him nothing to drink. Of course, baby Elijah wasn't able to play with any toys when he was at Jesse's house. So he made Elijah stand at the foot of the bed and pray while he was sleeping off his possible hangover. Close to 11 a.m., Jesse woke up from what he says was a nap. At 10:59 a.m., a 911 call was made to the Two Rivers Police Department from Jesse Vang, reporting he was babysitting a 3-year-old boy, and while the child was in his custody, he fell asleep, woke up, and the child was gone.
But I still don't know. How you open them doors? Get all them locks off of there and open that door. Did he get the chair? Did they say a chair was by the door? They didn't say, did they? Not that I heard that a chair was by the door.
Police responds to Jesse's 911 call. Once arriving to the area, Jesse was questioned by officers.
When you initially spoke with him, what information did he tell you about the victim, child 1?
He indicated that the child was in his care, and that on that morning he had gone to bed and brought the child with him into his room, closed the door, and that he woke up again at 11 o'clock in the morning and the child was missing.
Did Mr. Vang indicate whether there was anybody else in the residence during the time from February 12th to February 20th?
Yes.
And who was that?
Indicated that his son, Raiden, was in their residence as well.
So there was another child living at that residence?
Correct.
The other child that was in the residence, the defendant's child, is he of the capabilities to be able to care for others?
He is not.
Is he even able to really communicate with others well?
He has a very difficult time communicating. Mr. Vang had identified that his son has
And an
autism.
Amber Alert was placed to the community for Elijah. Poor baby, standing 3 feet tall, weighing 45 pounds, couldn't even defend himself. And what also bothers me is when these kids is coming up missing, the federal enforcement should instantly get involved. A national Amber Alert should be posted, not a community Amber Alert. We don't know where these crazy ass people are taking these kids. Following the next few hours, the search begins for Elijah. Jesse told the police he last seen Elijah wearing a long sleeve dark colored shirt, gray sweatpants, and dinosaur slip-on shoes that are stated to be red and green. Jesse also said Elijah may have a red and white blanket with him. Now, I'm a pause for a second because this is the picture that they have posted on the Amber Alert webpage and the national picture that's been on the news, and this picture has just been flung all the way around. When you look at this picture of this baby does not look happy. This baby looks like he was just crying. This baby looks like he's been cold. This baby looks sad. Any picture that I've showed you guys of baby Elijah, he was smiling, he was happy. This was not a sad child. He wasn't a sad baby. So for this picture to be the picture that is posted of him and the world is seeing, I'm not understanding how people isn't seeing the sadness in this child's eyes. The cry for help he is pleading for in this picture. This does not look like a happy child. And the fact that Jesse is saying, oh, he came up missing with this blanket, and then this is the same photo that he gives the police? February 20th, 2024, locals are asked to search outer buildings, vehicles, and any other area where Elijah may have been hidden or trapped. The police utilized drones and search dogs as part of their effort, as the whole community is searching for her son. Witnesses state Katrina showed up unbothered. It was later learned she didn't want Jesse to contact the police. She advised him to contact a lawyer. Why would you advise him to contact a lawyer? That don't make sense. Katrina talks to the police the day of Elijah's disappearance. She told police she left Elijah with Jesse for about a week. She dropped the child off with Jesse on February 12th in Fond du Lac. She intended to pick him up Friday, February 23rd. She says she wanted Jesse to teach him how to become a man. Girl, you just sound crazy. Katrina told detectives that Vang was the enforcer of rules in their relationship, and that was the reason she was sending Elijah to stay with him. She said she discussed the limits of discipline she didn't want used, but other than that, she was fine with whatever discipline Jesse enforces. During an interview on the 20th, Jesse told police Elijah was left with him as a punishment for his bad behavior. He said he was trying to make Elijah understand going home is like a privilege to him. He also said Elijah is afraid of him, but then changed that, saying he respects me. Katrina was asked by law enforcement if she had been to Two Rivers during the time of Elijah's stay with Jesse. She replied saying she hasn't. I guess based on their track history and sketchy past, the police received search warrants for both Katrina and Jesse's phone. Law enforcement was able to obtain information that contradicted what Katrina told them. Shared photos and messages between Katrina and Jesse, even the shit that they had deleted. It shows Katrina was at Jesse's house during the time frame of baby Elijah's unpleasant stay. And here, I don't understand why she lied. I mean, she could have easily told the police, yes, I've been back and forth checking on his well-being. Like, I've been here a couple of times. This is my boyfriend. Whatever the case may be, why lie? February 20th, 2024, at 11:28 p.m., Jesse Vang was booked on felony child neglect. At 3:48 a.m., Katrina was booked on felony child neglect. She reportedly changed her story on her whereabouts at least twice while being interviewed by investigators. And due to her lying, she was hit with 2 other charges of obstruction 5 days after Elijah went missing. Jesse admits during his interview with the police, most of his disciplinary tactics involved making Elijah stand for 1 to 3 hours at a time, during which Elijah was supposed to pray or repeat, "I'm sorry, mommy." Investigators say Vang couldn't identify specific behaviors that would require this punishment, which he called a timeout. If Elijah failed at this punishment, Jesse said his ultimatum was to ask the baby, "Do you want cold water?" which Elijah seemed to fear, though Jesse said he didn't know why. He then said, "He's fine. It's not like his knees are shaking or about to fall over, you know." Jesse and Katrina both remain in Manitowoc County Jail, and they both have cash bonds. In Wisconsin, the court system requires people to pay a full cash bond to be released from their custody. Her bail is set at $15,000 cash, and Jesse's bail is set at $20,000 cash.
Too bad you couldn't do like the Bible said. They supposed to be tortured. If, somebody to do something to a kid is supposed to be, in jail. Okay. But you still gotta feed them.
Katrina tries to get her bail lowered, but it is denied.
We are asking that the court reduce the bond to one of a signature I would note that Ms. Bauer is a resident of Wisconsin. She's a lifelong resident of Wisconsin. She has no serious record. She has 2 prior CMs of disorderly conduct and 2 CTs. She had no misses in the 2 CMs, which were in 2011 and 2015. In 2017, she had the 2 CTs I referenced. All of these were in Outagamie County, with the exception of the first, which was in Winnebago County. In the 2017 cases, she did miss court. She missed court on June 17 to CT 236. She missed court on June 23rd of 2017. A bench warrant was issued, on June 21st, but on June 23rd, the bench warrant was not issued. In 17 CT 752, there were several warrants issued. There was one issued on February 5th of 2018. She was appointed an attorney on February 7th, and the warrant was canceled on February 9th. On May 16 of 2018, a bench warrant was issued. On May 23rd, bond was reinstated.
Attorney LaBrie.
Your Honor, the state is opposed to any modification in bail. As Attorney Larson indicated, the defendant in 2017 had multiple failures to appear for court in Outagamie County in 17 CT 752. She also had that failure to appear in 17 CT 236, as well as the 2 prior disorderly conduct cases. As far as record outside of Wisconsin, we don't have any convictions for her, but she does have contacts with law enforcement in 2014 in the state of Nevada, one in March of 2014 and one in April. Again, those weren't convictions, but it does show that she has had contacts outside of the state of Wisconsin. The state feels that the cash bond at this point is appropriate. In fact, in light of the amended complaint, I would say it may even be low.
She does, however, receive an additional child neglect charge. They found out that she left Elena in the car by herself the night she went by Jesse for that wood. That's what her ass gets. So yeah, she now she got 2 child neglect charges.
We have now changed count 1 to chronic neglect as party to the crime. We have also added the count 4, which involves neglect to another child who is 6 years old from February 14th. So now she's facing additional charges with much higher penalties.
So can you kind of just talk to us about, what we just heard in there, there may be, there's more charges that they have now on the mom and stuff of that nature.
I like that. I like it because he haven't been found. I want them to keep them both in jail until somebody knows something. They tell something. One of them got to tell something. So I really do want them to stay in jail because that's not fair. Everybody is out here looking for him, and if he's hurt, if you'd have done something to him, go on and tell us so we don't have to be out here looking. Give the grandparents something else to think about, and concentrate on. I'm sure the grandparents are happy that they kept him in jail. Yeah, the longer the better. I'm sorry, but it is. The longer the better.
February 22nd, 2024, 2 days into the search for baby Elijah. A search was conducted at and around Jesse's 2 River apartment. One of Elijah's small dinosaur shoes, as described by Jesse in the police report as red and green, were found outside his apartment building.
You assisted in the search of the apartment?
Yes.
And no dirty diapers were located?
Correct.
Did you locate any clean diapers?
Yes.
How many?
I don't recall off the top of my head. I believe there was at least 1 box that was found.
1 box of clean diapers?
Yes.
Were you made aware at all of when garbage had last been taken out of that residence?
I don't know for sure. There was garbage in a garbage can that was still there.
And how full was that?
Half to 3/4 full, I believe.
And did you search through that?
It was searched through. I did not do that myself.
Do you know if there were any soiled diapers in that garbage?
I do not believe so. Yes.
And was there any sort of unsanitary conditions in the residence?
No.
There wasn't like garbage all over the place?
No, it was a well-kept apartment.
February 27th, 2024, a week after Elijah's disappearance, police say they are still hopeful of bringing him home safely. The FBI at the time announces a $15,000 reward for any information that can help them. The Vue family, who said they had not had contact with the boy since he was a baby, have been heavily involved in the search efforts for him.
So we're just kind of like lingering around, and hopefully we can get some answer from anybody at this point.
Heartbroken relatives are desperate to know more about Elijah's disappearance.
Our heart is still so heavy about it, and we really just want him found and safe and back home.
Tuesday night, 12 News was there when investigators collected a small slip-on shoe with dinosaurs on it outside this Two Rivers apartment building. Investigators also going through the building's dumpster. Online court records showing the man under arrest lives in the building.
Elijah's grandmother cries as she pleads for help in finding him.
Right now, I would like to thank you for everybody to help my family to search for my grandson whole week to today. So everybody know, like, we are really hurt. So, and I want to thank you for the officer or all the fire department people, all the people living in Two City here, help us to search for our grandson, our baby for 1 week right now. So, yeah, I really thank you for everybody so far right now. So I want everybody to continue to help us to look for my grandson. I want my grandson to be home with my family. So I want everybody to continue, don't stop, just searching for my baby Elijah. We want him to be safe and with my family. And we love my grandson. Thank you, Father.
February 29th, 2024, police say they continue to search in efforts to find Elijah. They also said if the public wants to show more support, they encourage it by showing it with colored ribbons and lights. Green is the symbol of hope for recovery of all missing children. Vue's family and the community members say blue is Elijah's favorite color, and they hope the hearts will guide him home. Photos released to Action 2 News of Elijah and his caretaker, Jesse, on surveillance video just 2 days before the 3-year-old's disappearance at Ross Auto Services in Two Rivers, Wisconsin, when he went to get that breathalyzer, honey, put in that car. Is it me, or are these the same gray pants described when Elijah came up missing? Maybe he has more than one pair of gray sweatpants. Search enters
People
third
from far
week.
and wide have been helping the Vue family search for the young boy.
Even if there was nothing, at least we're here trying to bring Elijah home.
That includes Tara Michaels, who drove nearly 4 hours with her family Sunday to do their part.
I couldn't even imagine thoughts, the family, what they're going through, or even this little boy. You don't know, and it tears you up. It's awful.
After searching in the Mishicot area, Tara and her family returned to the Mikado Theater in Manitowoc, which has been used as a hub for search efforts by the Vue family. Others, like Annette Geimer, were looking near County Road F in Manitowoc County for any sign of Elijah.
It's not just because I have children. Children need us, and they're thrown aside like they don't matter. And they do.
On Saturday, volunteer searches expanded beyond Manitowoc County. In Green Bay, roughly 50 people came together to search the Baird Creek trails.
If it were my kids that were missing, I want the world looking. So I'm here to help
any way I can.
Law enforcement was not involved with Saturday's search in Green Bay. It also didn't involve the Vue family, but they are appreciative of people willing to look anywhere. Sunday marked 20 days of searching for Elijah. While lots of time has passed, people are still holding out hope that they will find him.
That little boy needs all of us to look for him. Because he's just a little baby.
Be here and just keep looking and searching. And I know the efforts, I know people get tired, and I know the weather isn't always cooperative, but for this little boy, I mean, most of us have families.
Two Rivers Police Department releases photos of a beige 1997 Nissan Altima asking for help in tracking its movements on February 19th, the day before Elijah was reported missing. Law enforcement now has possession of the vehicle. However, I'm thinking this is the car that Jesse gave Katrina when, you know, she was riding, like he gave her a new car. Now he gave her this shit. This is what she had right here. She was riding around in this. Jesse and Katrina appeared in court on March 7th, 2024. Jesse begins to ask for a speedy trial. It looks like he knows he ain't getting out. He ain't going nowhere. He doesn't have a defense team.
All right, Mr. Vang, you can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Jennifer, you can hear everybody?
I can, Judge.
Great. We'll go on the record. In State of Wisconsin versus Jesse Vang, 24 CF 162. Appearances starting in the courtroom.
State appears by Jacqueline LaBrie.
Mr. Vang appears via Zoom without in custody from the Manitowoc County Jail without an attorney, correct, sir? All right. Mr. Vang qualifies for public defender representation. They've been unable to find an attorney for him yet. The court is going to find good cause to continue to toll any applicable time limits and adjourn the matter to March 21st at 10:30. Anything else for the record from the state?
No, Judge, thank you.
Then we're adjourned.
I'd like to say something, Your Honor.
Oh, let's go back on the record. Yeah, Mr. Vang, what's up?
I just want to say I'd like to exercise my rights to due process, my rights to attorney, my rights to speedy trial, and my rights to a fair trial.
Okay, well, I can't give you legal advice. I can tell you that you've applied for public defender representation. They're searching for an attorney for you, so that certainly is in motion as far as your right to an attorney goes. As far as how to exercise your right to a speedy trial, that needs to be put in writing and sent to the court. And then once you do, we'll, if you do that before the next hearing, we'll take that up. And that certainly may change things, but you've got to do that in writing, okay, sir?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Vang?
No, that's it.
All right, then we're adjourned.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yep.
A statement from Katrina's mother is read, interesting, asking the judge not to let her daughter out of jail. In the letter, Katrina's mother cited her daughter's pattern of erotic behavior, poor judgment, and not taking responsibility for her actions. Her story always depends on her audience. Katrina's mom also claims she was a victim of Katrina, who allegedly unleashed verbal and emotional abuse for years before their relationship dissolved. Jody also revealed that her daughter cut ties with her family in October 2022 following years of violent behavior. The mistreatment was severe enough for Jody to ask that the court issue a no contact if her daughter Katrina should be released on bail. It's noted Katrina has struggled with depression and anxiety for many years and has a history of erotic behavior. She has been suffering from a traumatic brain injury and is highly likely to forget mandatory appearances, like court dates.
A lengthy victim statement from her own mother, listening to what her mother had to say, wanting her bail to remain the same.
As a mom, that'd probably be the hardest letter to write, because when I heard that the mom was going to write something, I thought, is she going to go with the daughter? But to know that she went against her own daughter, that has to be heartbreaking, that you don't even have your mom on your side. It's heartbreaking.
Are you still searching today?
Yes, Where at? I don't know where they're going to send us. But after I leave here, we will head there to find out.
We also heard at the end, Vang asked for his bail to be modified, asking that to be reduced to file a motion for that. Hearing him speak for the first time and hearing that was going to be his request. What were your thoughts on that?
I didn't like it. Deny. And I'm praying that the judge denies his bail too. Keep him in this place. We don't want him out. So he can leave. We still don't have answers where this little boy is. Until we get answers, they're right where they belong.
Katrina did not speak as her attorney entered not guilty pleas to all the child neglect charges collected to Elijah's disappearance. That plea was expected, but it still bothers a lot of community members who have been looking for her son for more than over a month.
Yes, he's just a lovely, oh, excuse me, honey. He's a lovely little boy, I believe, to not nobody to hurt him. I think somebody might get him and take good care of him. I pray to God that the situation, because he's too young to just be out there.
After the hearing, Yolanda Godfrey told us, it brings your morals down. Because again, we have a 3-year-old little boy. He is 3. He didn't just walk down the street and nobody saw him. He's somewhere. Right, Yolanda. Godfrey helps search after work and on weekends. She said the month-long search for Elijah has taken a mental toll on the community. For now, without evidence to contrary, Elijah is still presumed alive. March 18th, 2024. Police reveal they have positively identified a blanket found 3.7 miles away from where Elijah was reported missing. The blanket did belong to Elijah.
Found Elijah Vue's red and white plaid blanket earlier in the investigation into the 3-year-old's disappearance.
And Emily Roberts is live in Two Rivers this morning. Emily, you've been following the case for weeks now. What do we know right now?
Tim Emerson, this is the first time police are confirming they have something belonging to Elijah. You may remember officers saying Elijah could be carrying a red and white plaid blanket when they gave his description the day he went missing. So take a look at your screen here. This is where police say someone found that blanket. It's on Goodwin Road east of County Road B, and it's a little less than 4 miles from where Elijah got reported as missing in the 3900 block of Mishicot Road in Two Rivers. Police have not confirmed finding any other items in Elijah's last seen description 100% belonging to him as of right now. Elijah's aunt asking anyone who can help look for him today to come out. You might want to take a photo of your screen. Search parties meeting at Deja Vu Bar in Manitowoc at 9:30 this morning and 1 this afternoon. Tomorrow, headquarters switch to the Mikado Theater with breaks to recharge on Thursday and Sunday. If you can't join Elijah's family search party, the chief of police says everything helps, and he still encourages you to check around your own home for any sign of Elijah.
The search now enters its 5th week. March 21st, 2024, Jesse Vang appears in court briefly via video link, along with 2 new attorneys. His preliminary hearing is adjourned until April 4th. The search for baby Elijah continues. April 4th, 2024, Jesse Vang faces trial for chronic neglect, not directly linked to Elijah's disappearance. And guess who's watching via Zoom? Jimmy Vue, the baby daddy. Jimmy Vue, who had been in prison before Elijah disappeared, appeared on the courtroom Zoom recording from the Oshkosh Correctional Institution. Testimony from law enforcement reveals insight into Vang's actions on the day Elijah vanished. Text messages indicated Jesse's intent to instill fear in Elijah, supporting probable cause.
For not finding probable cause with respect to the February 17th incident of alleged child victim 1 being left home without no supervision. I don't believe that the elements have been met at that time. The testimony is that the child's mother was actually at the location and ended up leaving with Mr. Vang. I think given that the child's mother was there at the time, possibly was not Mr. Vang then being a person responsible for the welfare of the child during that time frame, as the victim's mother was present at that time and location. However, even assuming the court finds that at that time he was a person still responsible for the welfare of the child, there's just as much evidence to suggest that he was supervised as unsupervised. I think the testimony was we were unable to locate anyone who had been supervising the child or been at the residence during that time frame, and law enforcement made other assumptions as to other people who had been at the residence during that time frame. With respect to the condition of the apartment, the testimony is that there wasn't any unsanitary conditions at the residence, that it was generally a well-upkept apartment, that when the search of the apartment was conducted, it was generally clean. One of the garbages was about half full. The officer testified that he wasn't aware whether any dirty diapers were located in that garbage. Even assuming that the photograph shows in exhibit number 2 a soiled diaper, the testimony is that a photograph was taken days prior to the search being conducted. There is testimony that Mr. Vang admitted to changing the diaper at least once per day. No evidence to suggest that alleged child victim 1's diaper necessarily needed to be changed more often than that, or that even if it did, that Mr. Vang didn't change it more than once. We have the testimony suggesting that at least once per day, which leads to the reasonable inference that on more than once per day it was also changed. So I think based on the testimony presented today, there is not probable cause to believe that Mr. Vang committed the offense charge, and we would ask that the court dismiss.
First of all, Jesse and Katrina both need new lawyers. I know they have public defenders, but they ain't even trying to defend them. Jesse's lawyer, without no supervision looking ass, I think based on the testimony presented today, there is a ridiculous amount of probable cause. He's basically saying that the night Elijah was left alone and Katrina and Jesse went out to the bar, they went to Saucy's. Jesse shouldn't be charged with child neglect for that night because technically he wasn't responsible for Elijah due to the fact that Katrina was there. But Jesse had already stated that Elijah was supposed to be in his care from February the 12th until the 23rd. So technically he was responsible for him. And what about his autistic son? The same way they hit Katrina with those 2 neglect charges because she left Elena in the car that night when she went by Jesse is the same way they should have hit Jesse's ass with another child neglect charge for leaving his autistic son at home with Elijah while him and Katrina was out for drinks. And his lawyer keeps acting like Jesse's son could have cared for Elijah. Who cares if his apartment was clean? That could have been done before the police was even called. There was no trace of dirty diapers suggesting that Jesse had already disposed of all the trash because he had just stated the night before he changed Elijah's diaper before he went to bed around 8 or 9 p.m. and then had to stand in the corner for hours for whatever reason because he pissed Jesse off. He sounds stupid as hell. What child would only need his diaper changed once a day? Even a damn man 102 years old wearing Depends would need that shit changed more than one time a day. Unless he had a pull-up on and knew to go to the bathroom every time he had to use it instead of having accidents on himself, which we are aware that was not the case.
When looking at the testimony in giving the reasonable inferences, finding reasonable inferences in favor of the state. What I think kind of ties it all together here is testimony regarding the text messages from February 18th, and specifically the defendant messaging Ms. Bauer that I'm going to make sure he hates me for being here. The message that he did fear me. He didn't respect me. He didn't respect me. Now I'm making him respect me. That tells me that the reasonable inference there is that Mr. Vang is carrying out actions that are designed to instill fear in the child. He acknowledges as much. I don't think one can reasonably make the argument that Mr. Vang is not engaging in conduct which could result in emotional or mental harm to the child when he's specifically stating he's doing it in order to get the child to fear. Like I say, that's what ties it together. But the testimony in the record today, specifically referencing exhibits 1 and 2, it's full of evidence that supports a finding of probable cause here. So the court will find that there's probable cause to believe a felony was committed and Mr. Vang committed it. I'll bind him over for further proceedings.
As old court records are uncovered, they show Jesse Vang was accused of sexually assaulting Katrina and trying to traffic her back in 2015. The community calls the recent developments baffling. No good mother would leave their child with somebody they know is abusive or tried to traffic them at one time. You would stay far and clear away from that person. Exactly. I'd have a restraining order against his ass. He wouldn't even, I would change my identity. He wouldn't even know who the hell I was. But now what she'd do? Oh, he hit me up on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Let me be his friend. That's in the past. That was like 8+ years ago, girl. We friends now. No, baby. I don't know what Katrina was thinking, honey. I done told y'all my thoughts. The damn brain just done stopped. Her mama even said it in the court records. Like she ain't got they don't even think she can come to court and shit when she's supposed to. You know, you may forgive, but you don't forget. You ain't forgot what the hell he did to you. You just being stupid. April 8th, 2024, volunteers focused on a salvage yard as they look for baby Elijah.
But you know what? He might, because he done went through so much abuse, he might just feel like he need to be away, you know. Whatever the situation is, he's missing, and we're hurting, and we want them to do something, you know.
As of today, the search for baby Elijah continues.
Police say they continue to search for missing 3-year-old Elijah Vue.
Today marks 3 months since he went missing in the Two Rivers area. Kristen Allen live outside the Two Rivers Police Department this morning. And Kristen, what's the latest in the investigation?
Police say that they continue to follow up on tips and leads every day while they search for Elijah Vue in Manitowoc County. Though today marks 3 months since he went missing, investigators say they are still optimistic that they will find him. The police department says it has been using all of the resources available and has continued to work with local, state, and federal agencies to find Elijah. Investigators say that based on all of the video evidence they have reviewed, they believe Elijah Vue is in Manitowoc County, and they believe they are targeting the necessary areas.
Everything that we have as far as evidentiary seems to point that this is the area we need to be checking. Is that to say he's not somewhere else? No, it certainly is a possibility, but we have to go on what we know right now.
Police are still searching again every day, and they are continuing public search efforts as well, just reminding people to make sure that they ask before searching on private property. And police say that they will still continue to follow up on those leads and tips as they come in. Reporting live in Two Rivers, Kristen Allen, Action 2 News.
It marks 3 months and baby Elijah is still missing. Anyone with information can still call the state tips line at 844-267-6648 or use the Crime Stoppers P3 Tips app. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you felt that this video was informative, please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, keep blazing.
I can put you in my business. You might wish me dead tomorrow.